Hi, I'm Christine Cushing, TV chef and cookbook author, and I love everything Mediterranean. This recipe is a Greek recipe that is probably one of the most famous ever. It is Greek donuts. You may have had them, and they are super simple to make and absolutely so satisfying. We call them Loukoumades. Loukoumades. The problem with Greeks, we have too many vowels. I recognize that. So at some point we'll rectify, but for now we're gonna make some loukoumades. All right, so here's what you're gonna need to make these loukoumades at home. First thing, a little bit of warm water with some sugar, all-purpose flour, yeast, some ground allspice, salt. This is buttermilk and an egg, a little bit of vanilla extract, and then for dusting on top, some cinnamon, and some great Greek honey. Okay, so now I'm gonna start making the batter, which is pretty simple actually. So I'm gonna take my warm water that has about a tablespoon of sugar in it, and I'm gonna start to rise or proof the yeast. Yeast can be problematic, and we've all been in this situation before, but a good precaution, I use not quick acting, but regular active yeast that's in a package. Always check the date on it. And before I add it to anything, I'm gonna foam them in here. So the sugar in this water is gonna give the yeast something to munch on. So yeast is munching, munch, munch, munch. Then their byproduct is creating this gas, happens, and then the thing goes nice and fluffy, and that's what actually rises your dough. So this precaution, if the yeast is not active, you're gonna see that this will never rise. So then you haven't wasted all your ingredients, because it's happened to me a few times. So while those get to know each other and munch on the sugar, I'm gonna just start preparing the rest of the dough. So I like to do this in a stand mixer. You can do this all by hand. So I've fitted it with a paddle attachment here. All-purpose flour works the best because it's not too strong and it's not too soft like a cake flour. So you need a bit of that structure that's gonna create that texture that really kind of melts in your mouth but is a little bit chewy at the same time. If you use a cake flour, they're gonna be too soft. Bread flour, too hard. All-purpose, just right. I'm gonna go in with some allspice and a teeny bit of salt. Typically when I'm working with yeast, always add a bit of salt. That tempers the yeast slightly so they don't get overly crazy and they work really slowly as opposed to quickly. What else? Now here, buttermilk, this is my addition. I'm always saying these are classic recipes, but I give them my twist. The buttermilk acts kind of like yogurt. It adds a little tangy characteristic and really gives you a flavor and makes them a little bit more tender. So there's an egg in there and a little bit of vanilla. So the yeast is now foaming, which means they're good to go. They're ready for work today. They showed up, unlike most Greeks. So I know I can put them in the batter and it's gonna be really awesome. So it's all gonna now go into here. Now that the yeast is foamed, I'm not concerned about the temperature. The only thing I wanna make sure I don't have anything too hot. So in goes the buttermilk and the eggs. Make sure I get every last drop. And the last thing that's gonna go in is the yeast. And then low speed, and I just want to whisk this literally till it comes together and it starts to become a little bit elastic. Okay, that looks about right. Let me show you what it looks like inside. So this is the texture that you want, really. See, it's a little bit gloopy still, but the flour has blended in. I've developed a little bit of that stretchiness I was talking about. So it's not quite like a real donut, and this is the secret. They're soft enough so you get that really light airiness, but they have just enough texture to make you want to eat a second one. Now I just want to let it proof or rise. I'm going to cover it, put it in a warm place, about 75, 80 degrees, for about an hour to an hour and a half until it's doubled in bulk. Okay, so after about an hour and a half, the loukoumades are puffing up. They're about doubled in bulk. We're ready to make some donuts. So exciting. So I like to use a grapeseed oil, has a high smoke point, and I like to use a saute pan like this that's deep and it's going to confine the oil. I only need about 1 inch of oil to get these going. Are we ready? Okay, here comes the first donut. So just going to wrap this guy up. Make sure that it's a little bit round. And that's the sound I want to hear. Sizzling is good. Look at this gooey, stretchy donut. When I was in a restaurant this summer in Greece, they used to serve these. They give you the bill, and then just when you think it's going to be over, they bring you a plate of these hot for free. You promise you're not going to eat them, and you slam 8 of them. So I'm just saying, it's that close in my memory. You're going to love these. So make sure that I'm going to strain all the oil. I could put a paper towel down there, but I'm just going to take them off right now. So light and fluffy inside. I can feel the weight of them is super, super light. Now it's time to dust with some cinnamon. Then just honey drizzled on top of that. It's all about the golden tones. You see how everything is that same sort of shade coming in? Do you think I've made too many for just me? I think so. I better find some friends to share these with. So, Greek Loukoumades. I'm going to have one after we say goodbye. I'm Christine Cushing. Thanks and see you next time.